Mickey here. Hope you're all doing good. Hope everything is fine with you. I hope everything is dandy at your end. Suffering with a hay fever today, so please excuse me on this video if I have a little bit of a sneeze or the old eyes get a bit bleary. I don't know what it is, which pollen it is on, but it's not making the nose itch today. Anyhow, maps. Okie doke. The mystery and dark arts of map reading. Okay, I'm going to do this over several steps, okay, over several videos, and I'm going to try and make it as simple as possible. So for those of you that have never read a map in your life, hopefully I'm going to give you some information which will stop it from being a scary thing and simplify it as much as possible. For those of you that are experienced map readers that will be watching this going, oh, Mickey, it's boring, right, I'm sorry, but you already know how to read a map. I'm trying to get information out there too. Like I say, I meet people all the time, they go, oh, I try and read maps and it just all out in front of me, I don't understand it and all the rest of it. So I'm going to simplify it, make it as easy as I can, okay? Now, this is going to be an introduction video, a bit of an explanation of scale and that, and what I see personally as somebody that goes out exploring, the two key features that I need to know on a map, okay, and understand on a map. So that's going to be our introduction today. We're going to cover understand your map, grids, and contour lines. Okay, so if you're interested, keep watching. If you're not, do us a favour, click like, and go and watch something a bit more interesting. Okay, maps. So maps come in different shapes and sizes. Quite simple. Here in the UK, our main mapping source is something called the Ordnance Survey. Okay, been going for donkey's years, map the entire country. Now, you have different types of maps. You have scales, and scale is important. Scale is basically how much detail you have on your map. So you can start with the larger end. You can go for something like this, and this is a 1 in 250,000 scale map. Okay, now where this is good, this is great for exploring somewhere like the Highlands of Scotland or the UK. I can't, because it gives you a massive area, gives you quite a bit of detail. You can see all the mountains, you can see the lochs, you can see where the towns are, you can see the elevations and the climbs there, but you can't see the small details. You can't see things like, footpaths and things like that in detail on it. However, it's a great map for exploring by vehicle, okay, because it will tell you where places are, how to get there, and it will show you, is it at the top of a mountain, is it at the bottom of a mountain, okay. And the other nice thing with these maps is they will give you locations of things like monuments, places of interest, and that sort of thing. It's a tourist map, really, a lot of detail on it, and a good map. However, if you're on foot, there's not enough detail on it, ideally, okay. Now, two map sizes that we tend to use in the UK is a 1 in 50,000, okay, which will give you a scale quite simply of 2 centimetres to a kilometre. Right? Isn't bad, okay, covers a bigger area or covers quite a large area, a good amount of information. However, I personally prefer the Explorer map. Now, the Explorer map is a 1 in 25,000. So you've doubled that up again. So you've got 1 kilometre for every 4 centimetres on the map. Okay. Now that gives me a lot of information, it gives me a lot of detail. So that's what I tend to work with. Most of the time when I'm out and about, I'm looking at being in a fairly localised area of possibly 5 to 10 square miles, and this map will cover that. If I was looking at being in an area of, say, 30, 40 square miles, I might go up to 1 in 50,000, or I might buy the next corresponding Explorer map. Now, we'll have a look at maps. So, when you buy your map, there we go, we've got a nice one there. This is Explorer 124 Hastings Bexhill. Okay, now that's the front, and that number there, Explorer 124, is quite important to me, because if I had to contact, say, emergency services, it's very, very helpful if you can give them that information. because then when they go to their computerized system, they can literally just type in Explorer 124. That entire map will come up. Then when we go to grid references, it's all explainable. Okay, then you can actually look up the exact square you're in. Right, so there you go. Explorer 124. When we look on the back of the map, here we go. That's what the area that this map covers in relation to all the other maps for that part of the country. Okay, so if I'm looking at flying down the coast, I can actually look at that and go, right, I want this map, this map, this map, and this map, and then order those. Okay, this box here will show you what is printed on the map, the area that's covered. Okay, quite simple. It's handy. A lot of people miss it out. So I like to buy my maps from WH Smith's because it's a shop and I can go in, I can physically pick the map up and look at this. All right, I can actually physically look at it and go, oh, I've got an overlap there, and I'm not going to be going into that one, so I'm fine there. Okay, or I might want to come up here and I know what the next map is. I can look it up and get it. Now maps are expensive, but once you've bought it, you own it. It's yours. It is. You put it on the bookshelf. It's there for life. Okay, you can go to it. 20 years time, that map's there. I jot notes down on my maps. They belong to me. I bought it. I write information on it. Okay, trips, journeys, and that. I make little notes. Okay, some people get a bit funny about that, but it's my reference. I want to go to it and go, oh, where was that water trough? Whereabouts was that in that field? Because that had clean water. That's the sort of information I put on there. Now, although I've said you can keep it forever, you must bear in mind that this map is only as good as the day it was printed. Okay, things do change. Forests get cut down, towns get built, roads get built. So some of the information on this will change literally the day after. Okay, however, you constantly with a map look at the big picture, not the small picture. Okay, if you're using a map as a reference guide and you're stood on a hill looking down into the valley trying to figure out where you are, and all of a sudden you're like, well, there shouldn't be a load of houses there according to my map. Look carefully. Are they new built houses? Look at your map, see what was printed. Now that takes me to the legend. Okay, so the legend is all the information, every single thing printed on your map, okay, will be in the legend with a guide to tell you what it is. Now, the art to owning a map or using maps is understanding your legend. And the only way you can really do that is one, buy yourself a map. Buy yourself a map of your local area, open it up, look at the legend, learn what the features are, look at the map. Oh, what's that thing there then? Go to the legend, look it up. Oh, yeah, I see that's a church with a spire or a church with a tower. Okay, all that information's in there. So we go to the legend, and the legend on a OS map can look like that, or it can be printed along the bottom. Okay, and it gives you absolutely everything. And again, when we get into grid references and finding grid references, that's also printed on there for you. It has a guide there to tell you how to do it. Okay, so again, if you've forgotten, you've not had to take grid references 20 years, it's on there for you. All the information to be able to use this map properly. Now, first thing you need to know is if you look under the title and come down, you will find when the map was drawn and printed. Okay, so if I take this one, this was 1997. Blimey, it's well out of date. Well out of date. So things are going to have changed on the ground. However, the actual ground itself is going to be very similar, and I can probably use this map today with no difficulty, just being aware that some of the bits may have changed. All this information in here, whether it be road layout, railways, cuttings, land contours, footpaths, trails, what kind of ground, all that information's there. Monuments, buildings, all absolutely on there for you, and even gives you guides on how to use it. Okay, so again, watch the video, get a map, study this, look at your map, and if you get a map of the area you're going to, or an area you use, or an area you love, you can start to apply it, and it all starts to make sense very, very quickly. Okay, doke. But again, like I say, you've got to bear in mind things do change. The overall picture can change slightly with new buildings, new roads, bridges, all sorts of things can change like that. So you have to apply a little bit of thought, common sense. Okay, so on the map you can see these squares. Now on all Ordnance Survey systems, the squares are the same. Okay, they all are 1 kilometre square. Okay, that is 1 kilometre along there, 1 kilometre up there. It is a 1 kilometre square. And because it's a square, that makes it 1.5 kilometres diagonally. Okay, so if you were out here and you knew you were there and you're calling the Coast Guard, you can say, I am, so that's about half a kilometre to 1, 2, yeah, I'm about 2.5 kilometres off the coast, off of whatever point the nearest land point is. Okay, or in that case, there it's going to be about 1.5 kilometres. So you can apply it. You can use them as a rough guide for distance. Okay, which is absolutely brilliant, especially when you're working out a route. There are methods for refining the distance, but knowing that they're a kilometre square is a helpful guide. So that's what you need to know on your map. I'm not going to look much more at the map today. I'm going to break down some of the details on the map that are important to you. So that's your map. Get a map, study it, look at it. Okay, it will all start to make sense. Now, for me, uh, I do a lot on the ground, on foot, and I go into quite rural areas, so towns don't apply so much. On the map, I've got information like: is it a marshy area? Is it coniferous trees? Is it broadleaf trees? It gives me all that. Is it a heathland? Is the ground sandy? I can gain all that information from that map. It's all there in the legend. Do excuse me while I swig my tea. But the other things I need to know is what is the lay of the land and how do I get help to me if I'm suddenly stuck on a hillside. All right, so we're going to cover that. Right, for the moment, ignore this here. Okay, what we're going to look at is how to get me help in an emergency. Where am I? Okay, so as you saw on the map, it's a series of squares overprinted in blue. Okay, those squares are made up of lines that go from across the map and up the map. Okay, the ones that run up the map are called northings. The ones that run across the map are called eastings, and that the reason they're called northings and eastings is because they go north and they go towards the east. Okay, so you always start in the bottom left-hand corner. So if you're taking the information from a square, you start in the bottom left-hand corner of the square. Okay, so let's take this over here. So here we go. I've selected 4 squares for you there. The green dot, let's take that out. The green dot is me. Okay, so that's the squares. I'm in the little green dot there. I'm looking at my map and I say, hello, help me. I am lost and I have a map and I can give you a 4-figure grid reference, which is the most basic reference that you would ever give somebody. So I need to know what this square is. Now it's a kilometre square. So to start off with, I need to know what that square is. And it's quite simple. Bottom left-hand corner of the square. You read along the bottom first and then you read up. So that square is 0, 1, 2, 1. Okay. It's going to be 0, 1 because that gives me where I am that way along to the east, and it's going to be 2-1, which will give you your position up, and that gives you that square. Okay, so 4-figure grid reference for that square: 0, 1, 2, 1, and it's always done in that order. Okay, along, then up. Simple as that. That means when the guy in the rescue centre looks up, he goes Ordnance Survey 124, 4-figure grid reference 0121, and that will show him that square. Now you can break this down further. In the military, we go to 6-figure grid references. Now, these numbers in red are not on the map. Okay? But what you do is you break your square down into a grid of 10. Okay? Which will then give you 100-meter intervals across your map. Yeah? So what you do is you break it down into 10. You go 0 to 10. 10 obviously being your last line. So really what you're doing is you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 across there and there. Now, if you've got a compass, the compass will have these intervals on it for you. So you can use the compass as a guide, okay? But I've always found that most people quite happily will break it down in their own mind. Because if you come halfway across the square, that's 5, okay? Break that down again, 2.5. Going to be about 7.5, okay? That's 8. So what you do to give yourself your 6-figure grid reference is you start again with going along your eastings. So you're going to go across. So it's 0, 1, okay, and it's coming down, or draw a line down. It's 8, okay. So all the way across, it's about 8. You then come to your northings, and you're going to come 2, 1, come up, draw a line across. It's about 7. Okay, 6-figure grid reference. So 018217, and that will give you your position there. It's as simple as that. It's no great mystery to it. It is quite that simple. Okay, so have a play with it. Work it out for yourself. It's quite easy, but as long as you remember that there is a set order, and that set order is along the corridor, up the stairs. Don't ask me who came up with that. Okay, it's something I drummed into me years ago in the military. Map reading, giving grid references along the corridor, up the stairs. Okay, so along the corridor, up the stairs. Do your eastings first, your northings second. And the importance between that is if you turned those around, it's going to be a completely different grid reference and a completely different square. Yeah, so that's that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Again, as we said before, when you're looking at these, because you know they're a kilometre apart, if you looked at your map, you look down at the squares, you can go, oh, look. So that's 1.5, 3, about 4 kilometres between that point and that point. Okay? And it's estimation. Okay, it's what you're looking at. Now, let's get on to the other most important lines that you're going to see on your map. The squiggly lines, as somebody once described it to me. What the hell are all these squiggly orange lines with little numbers on them? Right, they're contour lines. I'll try and keep this as simple as I can. A contour line is a way of measuring a slope or a hill. On a 1 in 25,000 map, each line is 5 metres apart. Okay? They are always 5 metres apart. The height is measured off on them, and as you can see there, 100, 110, 120, 130. Okay? So if you draw a hill from above, looking down, using a series of concentric rings, okay, where you have a steep slope, the lines are going to come closer together. And that's what you need to know, more importantly than anything else. If you see the contour lines close together, or the closer together they can become, the steeper the slope, the angle drops away. The shallower those lines are, the shallower the slope. So that's the shallow side, that's the steep side. That's how contour lines work. Now, the best way of learning about contour lines is quite simple. Take the map that you have for your area, find a hill, go and stand on top of the hill, and have a look at the contour lines on your map and how the hill lays out around you. Okay? And that will give you a good reference guide. This is something that comes with practice. And with time, you actually find you can look at the contour. You don't need to look at you look at literally the top height and you look at the contour lines and you start to be able to say to yourself, I can manage that. Or no, sod that. I'll walk round here and I'll come up round here for my route. Yeah? Because that's going to be far easier to walk up. The other reason it's so important is if you're walking in dangerous conditions, i.e., limited visibility in that, you don't want to walk off of a cliff. Okay? So learn to recognise the contour lines and use the contour lines as a guide. Right? They are one of the most important features on the map to me. Because, yeah, it tells me what the terrain's like. It tells me how steep it is, how shallow it is. It will also tell me what the height difference it is in metres. So if I'm looking at, say, down here being 0, sea level, that's 100 metres above sea level. That's 120 metres, that's 130, and so on. Okay? But if I look down there and it said, I know I'm a 0, and there was lots of contour lines, and at the top it said 5,000. That's a 5,000 metre tall mountain. Blimey, do I really want to go up there without oxygen? So again, it gives you that sort of information. So it can tell you the height, and it can tell you how steep it is. Yeah, but you need to really look at that and compare that to hills, walking, and the terrain yourself. So it starts to ingress into your mind. So you start to look at contour lines and go, yeah, I can manage that, or that's going to be too steep. Okay, when you first start out, it's a little bit confusing, I'll admit. Okay, but as you start to use them, look at them, and recognise them, it all starts to make sense. Okay, and again, that's the big thing with maps. It's about using. Oh, and again, so that's the important thing about maps. It's using the maps. You've got to get out on the ground. You've got to apply the map to the ground. Now, in the next video, we're going to cover compasses. We're going to cover how to use your compass to A, figure out where you are, B, how to find out the route you're going to take or the direction you need to travel. All right. So that will be the next video, and we will probably do that actually out in the field where it makes a little bit more sense. But what I wanted to cover here was just the basics of using your map, recognising your map, and knowing what's on your map. Okay, and that's the important thing. So if you're going to follow along with this, get yourself your Ordnance Survey map for your area, or get yourself your local map if you're abroad. Get your local walking map or whatever, or your equivalent of the Ordnance Survey map, and study it. The next video will be up in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not going to do this as a constant series. It'll be up in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Get your map, get out, have a look at it, or sit down at home, have a look at it. Start learning the features. Start going through the legend, figuring the legend out, and you'll be surprised what you can find. How many adventures have I had because I've got the map on, I've opened the map and I've started looking at it and I'm going, yeah, I know that area, I know that area. Oh, blimey, there's some ancient ruins there. Oh, that'd be interesting. Go and have a look at those. Oh, there's a waterfall there. Didn't know that. I'll have to go and have to explore that. It's the beauty of a map. Okay, so get your map, study it, start figuring it out, and wait for the next one. And enjoy. Have a great day wherever you are. Get outside, have your adventures, go cautious, figure out your contour lines. Till next time, this is Mickey Hampshire Outdoors and Survival, wishing you an excellent life. Love those you do, forgive those you don't, and as always, peace and light be upon you all. Mickey out.